Yo, salute to Raider Nation, man. We are doing something new here today, you guys. I have both of my brothers, Wasted Talent and Sanjit T. What's good, my brothers?
Now, I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. It's hot out here. I know it's hot for you guys too, right? Wasted was just telling us, man. You just got back. It's crazy, man. It's been hot.
I feel like it's the end of the world, bro. It really it's terrible, bro.
Man, I lived in the Bay Area for 7 years now, and I got used to being cold, and now I come back to Sac and it's hot.
Yeah, it's nasty.
It was like 109, right?
114 like a week ago.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, man. Real quick, you guys, welcome to the 12 Personnel Podcast. This is something that me and my guys behind the scenes have been working on for a few weeks. We always have fun when we do our individual shows. I always have Sanjit on or Wasted to have Sanjit on. We thought, why not, get the trifecta, going and do something for the nation with all three of us. So once again, you guys, welcome to the 12 Personnel Podcast. We're going to be trying to do this on a bi-weekly type situation. So we will be live from Sanjit's page, my page, Wasted's page. If you guys are not subscribed to all three channels, what are y'all waiting for? It's free. Just hit that subscribe button. And also, man, wipe them feet, pay your bar tabs, and hit them thumbs up on all three channels. It definitely helps all three of us remain in the algorithm. We're going to talk about a few things today, some surprise cuts. We're going to talk about camp battles, the weakest groups, on the offense and defensive side of the football, the strongest groups on the offense and defensive side of the football. And Wasted, where you want to start here today, man?
You know what, man? I'm always ready to go negative. No, I'm kidding around. No, hey, you know what? I think because I feel like we got such a strong team. I think the hardest thing to do is to pick apart the weakest parts of the offense and the defense, man. Yeah. I really do. I guess we're Raider fans and we're very optimistic, but I think this is one of the best teams that we've had on paper in a long time. Yeah. So I think that'll be the hardest thing to do. So I would rather go that way.
Okay. Well, let's get it rolling. We're going to start with Sanjit, man, since our brother doesn't usually do the live thing. Salute to everybody here in the chat, you guys. Get your questions in. We're definitely going to try and get as many in as possible today. Sanjit, man, what are you most worried about going into training camp in a few weeks and getting prepared for week one?
Yeah, our roster is deep this year, right? It's not even just like the guys at the top. Like our depth is crazy. I did a video the other day talking about guys to cut, and I ended up coming to guys that I don't think we're actually even going to get cut. But it's hard to pick. Yeah. Cody Whitehair, most people are like, oh, he's going to make the roster, but I'm not even sure. Is this guy going to make the roster? Is he not? Mm-hmm. And it's like that across the board. Of course, the quarterback position is always going to be the one position that will either get us over the top or it'll hold us back.
Yeah.
Right. I'm a believer of Gardner Minshew. I think he's going to end up winning the job. I know Aiden O'Connell will probably have every opportunity to win the job. I think the guy's limited in his movement. I'm not sure if he fixes that. Do you guys feel the same way about like how he moves and like?
Let me say this real quick. You guys watched the show this morning with Sincere McCormick. Salute to Sincere. He said, Sanjit, this offseason that Aiden has been working on his mobility. So even at OTAs, he's seen him moving around a lot more. He lost some weight. He's gotten into shape. So, and I even asked him, like, at this point, kind of who does it look like who's going to win, quarterback one? And he kind of alluded to Aiden O'Connell. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow,
So look, but you could be right. I mean, they could go with the proven veteran.
Right.
I mean, we know what Gardner Minshew can do at this point, right? I mean, Wasted, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I don't. I feel like the reason why Aiden O'Connell will win the job is because, one, the fact that he doesn't move a lot. The fact that he stands in the pocket, he delivers the football. Devontae Adams has signed off on him. Mm-hmm. This is a very talented football team. If you have a trigger man that can get the ball out of his hand, and you don't necessarily have to be mobile. You have to be functionally mobile in the National Football League. Yeah. And I think the problem with Gardner Minshew, which has always been the issue with Gardner Minshew, is he's a turnover machine.
Right.
And that style of football is not going to win you the starting job. Now, what Gardner Minshew is he's a great relief pitcher. If somebody goes down, gets hurt, he can come in and pick up that offense and kind of get everybody going and add another dimension to your offense. But if you go into your season with Gardner Minshew as the starter, when you have a young guy that you drafted who was with the team last year, who has chemistry with this roster already, you have a big problem at quarterback if you have to start him, I feel like. And I feel like Aiden O'Connell's definitely going to win the job just by virtue of the fact that the Raiders drafted him by virtue of the fact that Devontae Adams has signed off on him, and every skill position player that we've spoken to has pretty much signed off on him.
But Sanjit, what do you think about Minshew in this system? Because I agree with you, Wasted, but this Getsy system, right? We're going to be running this 12 personnel. I think this is a little different than what Gardner Minshew is accustomed to. I think that it will allow him to limit the turnovers. I think that he would look different within this system. I still have Aiden winning. Don't get it wrong. But I do believe that Minshew will look good in this system. I mean, what do you think, Sanjit?
Yeah, for me, I think the thing with Gardner Minshew is the guy has had success, right, in the past. But as Wasted said, he's more so of he comes in and he's not the guy that you're going to start right away, right? And that definitely could make a difference. And the thing that I look at with Gardner Minshew is when you look at NFL quarterbacks today, it's different than it was 10 years ago. Right, 10 years ago, you could have a true pocket passer that only threw the football, and that person can win and have success. And I know Tom Brady won, just a couple years back, and he wasn't the most mobile quarterback. But Brady moved out of the pocket. He was able to feel the pressure, right? He was a veteran. He knew how to change the play up. He knew how to read coverage. He was at a completely different level than where obviously Aiden O'Connell is today, right? AOC second year, he's not at where Tom Brady was right before he retired. But for me, the thing is like, there's going to be plays where Luke Getsy's going to say, hey, well, let's run this quick concept to the right. It's a 1-2 read, get the ball out. And Aiden O'Connell is going to make that pass. And there's no question about it. Everything's going to look good. But then there'll be a 3rd and 4. And this was the thing that always used to piss me off about Derek Carr. Right? There'd be a 3rd and 4, and that read is gone. Right? Now you got to make a play. Right. And those quarterbacks that make those plays, they win Super Bowls. Those quarterbacks that aren't able to move, they throw the ball away on 3rd and 3 or whatever it is. Those quarterbacks struggle. And I'm not sure if Aiden O'Connell is going to be able to move right on those key 3rd down plays. Right. And that's the one thing that makes me hesitate with O'Connell. But it's going to be an interesting battle. Right. I'm excited for it. I have confidence in this quarterback room more than I did in last year's quarterback room.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a fact. This is the only thing where I would push back a little bit. When we talk about mobility and winning in this league, you've had guys like Matthew Stafford. He can move, but he's not the kind of guy that takes off and runs. You have, guys who've made it to a Super Bowl, and Jared Goff. Jared Goff's not, incredibly mobile. You have a lot when you start talking about the guys who actually win Super Bowls. Most of the time, it's guys who prefer to be in the pocket. You know what I mean? I haven't really seen a run first quarterback.
So I'm not talking about running quarterbacks at all. Right? Yeah. When I say mobile, I'm talking about quarterbacks that can move, that can feel pressure, they have good pocket presence. So like Tom Brady has great pocket presence. He might not be as fast as like Lamar Jackson, but Tom Brady has great pocket presence. Yeah. When a guy's coming off the edge, he'll step up and he'll be able to make the pass. When there's pressure through the middle, he'll step right? He'll avoid the pressure. Aiden O'Connell to me is slower than Tom Brady is, right? Like in his
even initially when he first started, I think he's like almost like bookends with him as far as when Brady first came into the league. Like I think they're very similar, Sanjit.
But that's the thing, right? Is we're gonna find that out this season. Can he move? Right? Can he move? Has he, as Graphk was saying earlier, Sincere was telling him that, hey, he's moving more. He's a little bit more athletic. And I think AP had said that earlier in the offseason as well, right? He was like, this guy's, more in shape and he looks better. So we're going to find that out, right? We're going to find out if this guy's able to move. You got to be able to move, man. I think it's the most underrated it's the most underrated trait when it comes to quarterbacks. Got to be able to move.
Okay. Real quick, man. Salute to the Mokes. Appreciate you on a $2 donation. Also, man, salute to Spivey. 5 memberships, man. Salute to all the new members in the building. If you guys want to become members of the channels, hit the links. They're pinned up top. Also, man, salute to Patrick B. This is the thing, Pat, right? Getsy was never the offensive coordinator, so he never really called the plays out there. He was a quarterback's coach. He was the passing game coordinator. He truly became an offensive coordinator in Chicago in 2022. That's the first time he actually got a chance to actually call an offense. And yeah, I agree with you in a sense, right? They were kind of forced to run the football a lot because Justin Fields wasn't his strong suit. He's a run first quarterback and he struggled to pass the football. But I like the last question. What will we see as a run/pass ratio? It's still early on, but Sanjit, what do you expect in terms of what this will look like? I think it's going to be a balanced attack. I don't think this is going to be more of just run the football down. I know Dylan and Trey, salute to both our guys. They were on the show previously. They said, we're going to run the football. We're going to run the football down people's throats. I love it. But we're going to find a way to throw the football as well. What do you think? I mean, do you think it's going to be a 50-50 thing, run the football to set up the pass? Or how do you call this early on before the pads come out, before you even see a game?
That's a good question. I would say, it makes sense to say, hey, we're going to go 50-50, right? But we're also in a passing league, right? Yeah. And, the stats, like Luke Getsy with the Bears, like what are the stats when you don't include Justin Fields taking off running? Right? Do we have those stats of like where he ranked? Because I know he led Luke Getsy's offense led in rushing yards or whatever it was last year. Yeah. That's considering the fact that they had Fields who would just take off running, right? Mm-hmm. It's a passing league. We have great weapons. I would hope that we would throw the ball more, right? But also that's going to rely on the quarterback.
Yeah. No, I agree. Wasted, how are you feeling about that? I mean, you think it's going to be more of a balanced attack, or how do you think we're going to attack this?
I think that was part of the disconnect between Luke Getsy and Justin Fields. Justin Fields had 1,000 yards under Luke Getsy. Running the football as a quarterback. Luke Getsy didn't want that at all, and he kind of, when he came into Chicago, had that Josh McDaniels kind of approach to the way he ran the football team. He wanted to install his system, and he didn't really call the plays in a way that was favorable to Justin Fields. He called the plays in a way that was favorable to his offense. It wasn't, hey, man, this is a guy that's not as accurate as I'd like him to be. I'm going to try to – that's what he was brought there for. He was brought there to bring Justin Fields up to speed as a passer, and it didn't work out. And then he kind of had to acquiesce to what Justin Fields did, and they started to win a little bit. Yeah. I think Luke Getsy from the door, just coming from, the Matt LaFleur system, he wants to run the football. He wants to be a balanced runner. He comes from that Kyle Shanahan tree. So I think that you're probably going to see a 45-55 kind of a split when it comes to pass. And because we don't really have a dynamic guy in the center, whether you start Minshew or whether you start O'Connell.
Agreed.
We don't have a dynamic guy. So we're going to lean on the run game. And that's contingent on how well Zamir White does initially. Zamir White, I think Zamir White is the key to this offense, probably more so than anything, because when you have a quarterback that isn't that mobile, you want to do a lot more play action. You want to do things to make him have that clean pocket, so to speak, without him having that level of mobility that Sanjit was talking about. Yeah. So I think, they're definitely going to try to establish a run early and often, man, to get this offense going.
Well, while we talk about the quarterback, we already know we can talk about this all damn day. Let's keep it here and talk about camp battles. What positions we're definitely looking at the most. With Sanjit, I know you are a trenches guy. We're going to go to the O-line here. I know you're not that big of a Mumford guy. I get it. Me and Wasted, we love Mumford. We think he's going to start at right tackle. Position battles. Give us your starting five real quick on the O-line, and then we'll talk about maybe a position battle there in O-line.
I think we all have the same five, right? We got Colton, Powers Johnson, Andre James, Dylan Parham, Thayer Munford.
Yes.
That's the five you guys have?
Yep.
Yeah. I think that just makes the most sense, right? Yeah. Now, I do think there'll be some battles, right? I think Thayer Munford will be in a battle that I think he will win. Right? I find it hard to believe that Dalton Wagner is going to replace Munford when Munford has all these snaps and experience. Now, the wild card in that is also DJ Glaze, right? What if Glaze is actually legit?
Yeah.
What if this guy comes in day one and he's like a legit tackle?
Yeah.
And then even Andres Pete, right? I know right now he hasn't played right tackle at all. But he was also, if Andres Pete, let's say, is actually better than Thayer Munford, I find it hard to believe they won't start him at right tackle.
Yeah. Right? Have you seen any of Glaze's tape up to this point? We did a show the other day. Salute to East Coast, Big Mike and Denzel Good. We broke down some of his tape. Sanjit, we watched him versus Michigan in that #1 defense. Yeah. This dude looked phenomenal. He was on the left side, right? But even Denzel said that Glaze, he prefers to be on the right side. I think that we may have something there with him. I think this year Munford is going to be the guy, but I wouldn't be shocked if Glaze went and once the pads come out and he beats him out. I would not be shocked.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting battle. I mean, I've watched his tape. I'll be honest, I wasn't really impressed, like the tape that I have watched of Glaze.
Okay.
But it's also hard. I don't have a ton of his tape specifically.
Yeah.
And then Tom Plesko also told us that Glaze had an incredible Senior Bowl. Yes, and I don't have the tape of the Senior Bowl game either, right? So it's kind of unknown in that aspect. But I personally did not like his tape when he came out. I honestly didn't like the pick. I felt
what was it that you personally didn't like?
So to me, I feel like I don't think he has the length to play tackle in the NFL, right? I don't know if he's going to be, you know, I always say this, you know, whenever I analyze offensive linemen, the first thing I look at is, can a guy move well? Can this guy does he just, you know, does he just look the part, right?
Yeah.
Can he move well? Can he get into his pass set? You know, when he has a reach block, is he quick and explosive? Is he able to get there? Right. In my opinion, you can look at an offensive lineman, the way he moves, and you can just project if he's going to be a good football player just solely based off how he moves.
Okay.
Right. An example would be someone like Samuel Cosme, right? This guy moved so well when he was at Texas, 3-4 years back. And he was a bust all the way up until last year. But he was a guy that I was like, man, this guy's going to be so good one day in the future. And it finally happened, and it's because they moved him from tackle to guard. Right. But with that being said, I feel like DJ Glaze is one of those guys that I just didn't like his tape at Maryland. And I also feel like because there was a run on tackles in the first and second round that the Raiders almost just kind of settled.
I agree.
And hopefully he turns out to be like a good guard, right? Worst case scenario, he's a good guard. What did Denzel Good, like, what was his general thoughts? And then what did you guys think when you guys watched his tape?
Good was saying he loved, you know, he loved the way he processed. He loved his feet. He loved his positioning. I mean, real talk, there wasn't too many snaps wasted that we seen that Glaze looked suspect. It looked like every play he was one of the only guys on that O-line that was alive every damn play. You know, but once again, he was on the left side, but he was facing, like I said, a top defense at the collegiate level. And his tape against Michigan, I'm gonna send it over to you, Sanjit. Okay. Check it out, bro. And Good was impressed. He was like, man, and also Good is from the Carolina area, and he's kind of familiar with Glaze. Okay. And he said he was very pleased by what he's seen on tape.
Yeah, I mean, see, the thing is about Glaze, you know, Michigan game was one of his banner games, right? That's one of the games that probably got him drafted, right? And especially his first half against Michigan. He played excellent in the first half. Yeah. The play dropped off a little, but that was the best defense in college football. But the game where I see some of the deficiencies that Sanjit is talking about is the Penn State game. Like he had like kind of a lack of twitch, you know what I mean? And it showed up against Penn State. Abdul Carter kind of ate his lunch a little bit. Man. And you know, I'm from the Northeast, and you know, I watched that game, and I went back and rewatched it when we drafted him. Right now, the way I think DJ Glaze actually can be a starter, but the guy on this offensive line that I think needs to win his job and that can be beat out by somebody is, and you guys are gonna laugh at me, I think it's Jackson Powers Johnson. He's essentially playing out of position. He's playing left guard. The guys, you know, really got drafted to be the center of the future. And I can see that being a spot where Andrews Peat could play at, because Andrews Peat has started as a guard in this league before. And he's played well as a guard. And Cody Whitehair has also played well as a guard in this league as well. He came into the league, was a center, moved over and played left guard. I think you have two guys who have starting experience at guard. And I don't think it would be the worst thing in the world for the young pup to sit down for a year, wait his turn, and come in and be our starting center of the future.
I have to disagree with you. I think that on the left side with Colton Miller next to him, with Andre James continuing to look better year in and year out, I think he's going to be fine. I think the only thing we have to worry about with Jackson is the durability issues. If he can stay healthy, I think he's a clear-cut starter for us. I don't see them sitting him a second-round guy that should have been taken in the first round. You know, I don't see it. But I know what you mean.
As a center, though, the thing is that when you look at his tape as a guard, it wasn't as spectacular. He was a spectacular center. I think he was the best center in the draft. But you have him coming into the National Football League playing a position he didn't even play last year, right? And I'm not saying that he's not talented and he probably won't start, but if we're asking who might be the guy, I can see him because he's a rookie. Now, the ideology that you have is the same one that I have. You would take the rookie and put him in between the two most senior guys on this line and protect him. Yeah. But
no, I agree. I think if anything, you're going to look at that left guard spot. That will be up in. There's going to be battles all across the O-line regardless. But I think there's no real clear-cut thing outside of right tackle. Like what Sanjit was saying was, you know, Mumford, Wagner, potentially Glaze. I don't really see anywhere else. Yeah, you may be onto something wasted with the left guard spot. Maybe James Craig says, I'd rather go with the veteran or proven guy. Who's to say? Or maybe they allow him to get fully healthy. You know what I'm saying? Because Jackson Powers, once again, has dealt with some injuries. But I think this is clear. I think what you said, Sanjit, it's Colton, it's Jackson Powers, it's Andre James. You know, it's Parham, which I'm excited to see him back at right guard, where he played phenomenal at Memphis, and then we got Mumford at right tackle. Now, I love what Raider Ramp, man. Salute to him. Salute to Indiana as well, and everybody else with the Supers. We will be getting to y'all stuff in a second. Salute. Who's going to take – this is the one battle that I want to talk to you guys about specifically. Who's going to take that corner 2 spot? Thoughts on Jacorian Bennett? Thoughts on facing? Thoughts on cap flexibility if we have to get a corner or anyone? I'm going to give it over to our brother Sanjit here, man. What you got right there at the corner 2 spot?
Yeah, that's such an interesting battle. What's crazy is last year Jacorian Bennett started for the Raiders, right?
Yep.
As a rookie, he came in and they're like, all right, this is gonna be the guy, right? But he ended up getting benched at some point, right? His play wasn't great. I also think there was more to it than just his play. I truly think Patrick Graham felt like, hey, this guy from a mental perspective isn't ready, right? We're trying to do different things in the secondary. Maybe they're trying to switch and run certain match concepts, and they're just trying to do all these different things. And Bennett wasn't ready because he came from not a smaller school, but he came from Maryland, right? The coaching there isn't what it is in the NFL, and he just wasn't ready, right? But there was a point where they tried starting this guy, right? They at least early on felt like this guy has the talent to play.
Yeah.
I think Jacorian Bennett's going to win the job, and because he's coming into year 2 now, he's coming into a time where it's really his job, right? I mean, it was his job last year, and he wasn't able to keep it. I think Jacorian Bennett wins the job. I'd be shocked if someone else wins the job over him. I'd be shocked if one of the rookies wins the job. But I wouldn't be shocked if we went out and also sign a free agent. I wouldn't be shocked if that happens too. But then that also kind of tells us what they think about Bennett.
Yeah, wasted. We talked about Bennett a lot, right? Like last year, it got into his head early. The bad penalties, and I think it was just a mental thing for Jacorian Bennett. I got him at the starting spot at the corner 2 position. We know they love Brandon Facing. We hear a lot out of camp about Patrick Graham loving the veteran. How do you call it at the corner 2 spot?
I mean, listen, I've said this on my show, your show. You know what I'm saying? Bro, it's Jacorian Bennett. It doesn't make any sense if it's not him. Brandon Faison has really never really been he's a spot starter. He has started in this league, but he's not the kind of guy that you pencil in as a starter. If you have Brandon Faison starting, you got a problem.
Yeah.
He's a third corner. So, and this is the thing. When people say Jacorian Bennett and his confidence, I don't necessarily view it from that prism. I view it from the prism of the fact that you had a coach who was scared from his job from the day that he took it. Josh McDaniels was scared for his job, and he didn't have a lot of faith in any of the rookies last year. And if you really look back to last year, what rookie flourished under Josh McDaniels' stewardship? Not many. He didn't have a lot of patience for these guys. And then at the end of the year, you had issues where, Patrick Graham, the defense was rolling. They went out and got Jack Jones. There were a lot of things that started happening last year. We had Amik Robertson last year, so you were able to put a guy who was battle-tested on the field and keep him on the field because he was playing at a high level. It was a little inconsistent, but it was more consistent than what they had seen from Jacorian Bennett. I think now where the rubber meets the road, you have a guy that's a high draft pick. People think that just because people aren't first-round picks, that those picks aren't important. Jacorian Bennett was a high draft pick for this organization. Absolutely. They need to develop that young talent. Yeah. We have 11 starters possibly that are on rookie deals, and I think that behooves the Raiders to put their young guys out there and put a guy like Brandon Faison in the back burner, and to be honest with you, not to jump the line, but when we get into who we think's going to get cut, I'm just going to say it right now. I think Brandon Faison's a guy that has cut written all over. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Okay, we're going to get to that here in a second. I think realistically, those are pretty much the only 2 battles that I can honestly see, like right tackle, potentially, like you said, left guard, and the corner 2 spot. I think linebackers are pretty much shored up. The safety positions are shored up, even though you guys are going to be shocked by one of my potential cuts. But I don't think there's really go ahead, Sanjay.
I think there's a battle, man. I don't think Marcus Epps is guaranteed to get that job. We heard about Isaiah Pola-Mao now for 2 years, right? Like we saw the guy's tape his rookie year. And then last year they were super high on him. I don't think Marcus Epps can get cut. I think from a contract perspective, he's basically locked in. Yeah, I think it's too much dead cap to cut him, but I don't know if he's 100% gonna play more snaps than Isaiah Pola-Mao by the time the year ends.
Okay,
I gotta applaud that, baby. Sanjit, the haymaker.
Well, that was one of my surprise cuts. I know the contract's really not there. What he signed a 2-year, $12 million deal, right? I don't really know how much dead cap is on the books in terms of
Marcus Epps.
Yeah. It's like a 2-year.
Marcus Epps, it will be a $6 million dead cat hit.
Yep, there you go.
Okay. So you guys are both correct on that, but that spot right there isn't a for sure thing that he'll start. I mean, once again, Palomalu showed signs last year. Trey Taylor, another guy that we all like a lot, you know, rookie out of Air Force, which I know in year one, he's probably going to get his bread and butter in the special teams, right? But I'm just saying, man, that second safety spot next to Trayvon Merrick, it may be up for grabs.
I mean, I can't see him getting cut though, Graph. Like I can see him being sat down. I can see him splitting time with one of the younger guys. I can't see him being cut. Because you have so many young safeties on this team, I can't see him being cut. I think that's pretty hard.
I don't know about being cut because the contract, and you don't want to take a 6 point. You're not even. I don't think you save money by cutting him.
No, I don't think
not at all. He's the 7th highest paid player on the team.
But I don't think there's that much of a dead cap. We got to look that up. I don't think
dead cap is $6.4 million
to let him go this year.
Yeah, let him go this year.
Like 800,000. So it doesn't even make sense to release him.
Yeah. Well, that room is so deep. You know what I'm saying? Right. I love our safety group. I think this is one of the deepest groups that we have on this team.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's going to be interesting. But either way, him starting, him not starting, that's going to be something to keep an eye on. But I think Merrick has that free spot sewn up, right? I mean, I don't think that we're going to see Merrick in any way not start this upcoming season. I know they're both on 1-year deals moving forward, but I mean, Palomalu is going to be, like you said, Sanjay, he's going to be a tough guy to keep off the football field because of the length. Because of the length, you can put him in the box. You can have him go attack the quarterback.
Exactly.
He is a missile going after the quarterback. It's insane. 6'4", lengthy, and he's only starting to hit his stride. I'm excited about what Palomalu is going to look like. Is there any other room that we can honestly look at and say there's going to be a position battle? Because I think that Alex Madison is running back too. Unless Laube. Okay.
I don't, and that's what I was going to bring up. The running back 2 spot is up for grabs.
Okay,
100%. Listen, Madison, if you look last year when he got a chance to start, he had 700 yards last year, right? No touchdowns, bunch of fumbles, right? And two is too many, right? 2 fumbles, and the thing is, that's 2 fumbles that he lost, right?
Right.
2 fumbles that he lost, right? Madison was
salute the top
guy that was for the amount of carries that he got last year, he was not very effective. And I can see the Raiders going with the youth movement at running back. You have a lot of what you got to do is you got to follow the money and you got to follow the draft history, right? When we talk about running backs and corners, right? Look at what the Raiders did the year before. They brought in a bunch of UDFAs. They had a bunch of young running backs. Even this year, they went out and drafted another, Dylan Laube, right? So the running back room is up for grabs, right? And then you look at the corner room. They went out and drafted 2 corners this year.
Yeah,
that goes to show you that that's a position that they felt they needed to address.
Yeah.
Right. I'm telling you right now, mark it down. Madison is on the clock. Okay. I really believe so, bro. I really believe so.
Let me ask you guys a question. A couple days ago, or maybe it was like a week or 2 ago, I was talking to this guy that is super smart. We were talking about the Raiders roster, and he was telling me that in his opinion, there are running backs that are like, they're good number 2 running backs. They'll never be able to carry the load, right? It's, for whatever reason, Alexander Madison, Tony Pollard, right? These guys are great number 2 running backs, but when you're asking them to carry the load, they're just not able to do it, right? Do you guys think Madison would be better as like a number 2 to Zamir White?
Yeah. That's why wasted talent is wrong. That's why you are wrong, sir. You don't cut Alex Madison. He was a great running back.
He was a great.
He was a great number 2 behind Dalvin Cook. Then he had to become the guy, and I believe he lost his job to Tyson Chandler, young kid out of North Carolina, right? But either way, he was a great number 2 out there in Minnesota. I remember I had to pick him up in fantasy for a year, and he actually did me some justice. I don't see him losing his job. I have Amir Abdullah potentially losing that 3rd down back.
That's going to be the interesting one right there.
I think Laube is going to be a guy that's going to be difficult to keep off the field. Right. He's explosive. His skill set matches what they're trying to do. And Amir is up there in age. He's over 30. Right. He has 1 more year. We signed him to 1 year. I would love to keep him as a special teams, kind of like that Brandon Bolden special teams guy this upcoming season. Right. But I have him losing that 3rd down back job to Dylan Laube. I don't think there's going to be a way you can keep him off the football field this year.
So if we kept Abdullah and Madison, so we'd keep 4 running backs at that point. I think that'd be too many running backs, right? Especially if we're probably not going to add a fullback at this point, right? Probably just put one of our tight ends at fullback.
Yeah.
But we're not going to carry four running backs, right? And you're not also going to put Laube on the practice squad. Someone's going to pick him up.
Yeah.
Right.
No, definitely. I have Zeus at 1, Madison at 2, and I have Dylan taking that 3rd spot. You know what I mean? And potentially us cutting Amir Abdullah, which isn't anything. We brought him back on a very inexpensive deal, and when it's going to cost us a leader in that locker room. You know what I mean? Which sucks, but it's a part of the game. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, I don't see how. But wasted. Sanjit made a point about that with Madison. I don't see you cutting him because we've seen he could be a really good running back too. If you lose him, then who's the number 2 guy? Is it Dylan Laube?
Listen, I'm going to be honest with you. You know, when you talk about being a running back in the National Football League, you're talking a young man's football game. You're talking a young man's game, right? I can see some of the guys that we put on the Josh McDaniels scholarship maybe winning his job. It's Sincere McCormick. I can see a Britton Brown coming in and winning his job because it's a young man's game. And I'm going to tell you something. In this preseason, Madison is going to have to show and prove. He's going to, because his cap hit isn't going to be, super oppressive. It's 1.6 million, right? Yeah. He's a veteran guy. He's a guy who, if you really look at it, man, is not to the point where you would feel like, I need to keep him on this roster. Like this is a team that allowed Josh Jacobs to walk out of the door. Yeah. So I really don't feel like they value his supposed like veteran status as much as we would think. I can also see in the Raiders maybe going out and addressing this in free agency as well. There's a lot of options out there. You got guys like the playoff Lenny Fournette out there. I don't think that Madison is good enough to keep the Raiders from keeping a young, talented football player. I think this year we will see, and it happens every single year. There's always a guy that comes off of the practice squad or a young player that shows out in preseason that wins a job. It's not always chalk. I feel like that's the place where it's not going to be chalk.
No, we don't know what we have in Britton Brown yet, right? We have no idea. He was on our IR last year. We have not seen him up to this point. Sincere this morning said it straight up, you guys. He said, I'm going to have to earn mine. It was been already said to him. He has to earn his in special teams. That's where he is going to be an ace in a special teams game. So he's going to fight tooth and nail to get one of the spots. Right. But it's understood like I'm going to be a special teams guy this year. You know what I'm saying? And I think Amir Abdullah understands the writing on the wall. He's getting up there in age. His job at this point is to pretty much put his arm around these young kids, show them what it is to be a professional, show them what it is, and then walking papers. I mean, it's just a part of the business. I don't see us moving on from Alex Madison. You said that a few times, though. I said that you could be right, but I don't think you want to lose, like Sanjit said, a potential top end running back 2, not a top end running back, but a top end running back 2 who's shown signs of life as a running back 2 behind Dalvin Cook in the past. You know what I'm saying?
You know what's another interesting thing? The kick return and kickoff is going to be a lot different this year. Yeah, Amir Abdullah played a lot of snaps on special teams last year in the kick game. And now you're going to be 5 yards apart. It's different, right? You got to have the strength to get around blocks, get off of blocks. You got to have the strength to hold blocks. To me, that game right there is going to turn into like a wide receiver, tight end, maybe some linebacker. It's going to turn into one of those games. It's not going to be like, Amir Abdullah before would run downfield and make the tackle. Yeah, you're not running downfield anymore, right? And to me, can Alexander Madison potentially play special teams? Right. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to definitely
and that's the thing, Sanjit. When you have a veteran player who's made money in this league,
that's
right,
true too. That is
are you going to be open to playing special teams where you can have a young running back come and serve both kind of roles?
Yeah.
Look, the thing
Laube expects Wasted as well to play some special teams. He said
and that's what I'm saying, right? The youth movement is ever prevalent on this team right now. Mm-hmm. And I can see which direction they're going. They're building something. The Raiders know that, yes, can they make the playoffs? Yeah. But are they trying to build something? You have a new GM, you have a new head coach, you have a young quarterback. And I think this roster, the way that they're filling this roster, is going to grow together. And there are some things that are not. And I'm not saying Madison's an old guy because he's not, but I can see them going with the youth movement all the way around, especially in the backfield with Zamir White and having that room grow together.
Right. Yeah. Salute to Patrick B, man, on the $10 donation. What can we expect from the Mayer Bowers combo? I think we can all agree on this. This should be a top 3 potentially tight end room. I mean, then you got Harrison Bryant, another veteran guy that can help you as a third guy. I just expect Mayer and Bowers to take the league by storm this year. What do you guys think about the Mayer Bowers combo?
I might have a different opinion than I think most people. I think Michael Mayer is going to play more tight end than Brock Bowers, and I think he's going to have a better season this season than Brock Bowers. Okay, I think a lot of people disagree with that. But we got to realize like Brock Bowers is a rookie, and tight end's the hardest position. It's one of the hard positions for rookies to come in and have success, right?
Okay.
Because you got to block, you got to run routes, you got to be able to pass protect, you got to do all these different things.
Yeah.
And then you still got to adjust to the speed of the game, you know?
And he struggled in year one, Sanjit, right? I mean, everybody didn't do the Sam Laporta thing. A lot of these young rooks, Dalton Kincaid struggled out there in Buffalo. So I agree with you, but go ahead.
Yeah, and another thing though is too, like your quarterback matters too. You know, Michael Mayer didn't have a great year last year. Part of that was he also had a bad quarterback situation. Brock Bowers has a better quarterback situation, but he's in his first season, right? And long term, Brock Bowers should be better. But I think this next year, I think Michael Mayer is going to play a lot more tight end. You know, if you're into fantasy football, I think Michael Mayer is going to be the better statistical tight end than Brock Bowers. I think Brock Bowers is going to do a lot of different things. Like, you know, he's going to line up in the slot. We're going to run screens, and he'll be out there blocking because he's a lot faster and quicker than Mayer as well. And then on top of that, he'll catch some screen passes.
Yep.
I think, you know, I also think for like A and Connor Gardner-Minshew, it's going to be a little bit easier to throw it in between, you know, tight end, as opposed to way out there to a wide receiver. Right. So I think Michael Mayer is going to end up having a little bit more success this season specifically than Brock Bowers.
Okay.
Well, I think that suggests that success is going to be subjective, right?
Right.
Because when you look at Brock Bowers for the most part won't really be playing tight end.
Right.
And that's the difference between him and a lot of other tight ends.
Right.
Most tight ends that come into the league and play tight end, 70% of them don't do well their rookie season. It's been there. Most people that do well their rookie season as tight end, they're anomalies, right?
Right.
You have guys like Tony Gonzalez and stuff like that. But for the most part, guys that are star tight ends don't do well into their second year. You even see a guy like Kyle Pitts, who everybody thought was all world. Everybody thought he's the best, most talented. I mean, even more so than they're saying about Brock.
I did, but his quarterback situation sucked. But I agree with you.
But they were saying
minus his first year. Yeah, 1,000 yards his first year. And then I think that was like Matt Ryan's last year. And then he did suck for 2 straight years, and their quarterback sucked.
Yeah.
I think like 300 yards last year. Maybe that was
nasty.
Yeah, I mean, his first year he went crazy, right? But you know, take it away as a young player, he was trying to find his way, right?
Absolutely.
When you see a guy like Brock Bowers, I don't think he's going to run into the type of situations that Michael Mayer did. Because Mayer was on the field primarily as a tight end, and he had to do tight end duties and he had to block. I think Brock Bowers is going to be the big Hunter Renfrow. For all, I think they're going to put him up in the slot a lot.
Yeah, all over. They're going to line him up outside.
And I think the way he's going to kind of best Michael Mayer is in catches and yards, but I think Mayer is going to be the guy in the red zone. So for fantasy purposes, to reinforce what Sanjit was saying, Mayer's probably going to catch a lot more touchdowns, but I think Brock Bowers is probably going to show up on a stat sheet with catches and yards.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see him this year, just because how much better he got in the blocking game at the tail end of last year. Like Mayer even spoke about how he struggled when Josh McDaniels, you know, in the building, he left, and they kind of started to play a little bit more loose. I'm excited to see Mayer more in the blocking game. I think we can all agree that Brock Bowers is the more, I don't want to say the more talented player, but the more versatile, the more, you know, he can do a lot. And they're going to be on the field a lot, you guys. Once again, that 12 personnel, it's going to be fun to watch both these guys. But I love Michael Mayer. I'm a Notre Dame guy. Waste is a Notre Dame guy. We expect big things from him this upcoming season. But I'm going to be real. I think Brock Bowers is going to take the league by storm in year one. I think he's going to do the Sam Laporta thing in year one. I don't see him. I see him on the field a lot.
I do too. I see him more as a receiver though. Like I see him being that guy that gets those big first downs for us. I see him being that guy that's a yak monster, right? But I don't see him being that guy that they go to in the red zone as much, because, you know, like when you're in the red zone and they're in jumbo and stuff like that, they're going to probably have Michael Mayer out there and the other tight end that can block. So Michael Mayer's going to get a lot of those targets in the red zone. And I think Michael Mayer is probably going to be the guy that gets more touchdowns because he has more experience, right? He's a guy that's going to be able to get off his block, you know, block and get out there and catch the football. There's certain things that are nuanced in the game that I think that Brock Bowers is going to have to learn. And there's always a learning curve with a rookie. Like I don't ever come into a season depending on a rookie. I agree. If you notice with me, right, everybody thinks that I'm just trying to be, you know, controversial, but with JPJ, do I think he's going to be a great player? Absolutely. Do I think Brock Bowers is going to be a great player? Absolutely. I'm not going to depend on a rookie right off the bat because there's always a learning curve going from college to the National Football League.
Okay, let me ask you guys about this. And Sanjit, I'm going to shoot it your way right here in terms of the wide receiver 4 spot. I think we can all agree Devontae has number 1. Jacoby's number 2. Trey Tucker is taking the leap this year. Every player that we have on, Sanjit is saying that Trey Tucker is ready to take the league by storm this upcoming season. That wide receiver 4 spot, Michael Gallup, which Trey said he's looking good. He's healthy. We brought Guyton over, Tom Telesco's guy from the Chargers. Who do you have, taking that wide receiver 4 spot?
So I did tell you last time, I think Trey Tucker's going to have like a crazy breakout.
Yeah.
I actually have. I thought a lot more about this. I did that video just a couple days ago. I actually said I think Michael Gallup might end up getting cut.
Okay,
right?
we agree. We agree on that. Right.
But the more I think about it, because I do agree with what Wasted saying that Brock Bowers is going to be a wide receiver more, right, than he will be a tight end, and I 100% agree with that. But what's crazy is if he's a wide receiver, then who's he replacing? And we would all just kind of assume it's going to be Trey Tucker. Right. But then, if you have Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, Brock Bowers out there, right? If that's the 3 guys you have out there, who's running those deep routes? Who's running those influence routes? Who's opening the middle of the field up? So that makes me hesitate a little bit as well in that aspect, right? Because to me, having Adams, Myers, Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer out there, those guys are talented as hell, but none of them are super explosive and super fast, and they're not taking the top off the defense. Our wide receiver room's weird because it's good.
It is.
You have to rely on Trey Tucker. Like, I find it hard to think Trey Tucker's not going to play a lot this year.
Yeah.
All right. And then it also makes me think, if you traded Devontae Adams, which we've been hearing all these crazy ass rumors about that, if you traded Devontae Adams, then it makes sense, right? Brock Bowers is out there, Jacoby Myers, Trey Tucker, Michael Mayer's in the slot. That makes sense for sure. But it's just hard, man. Because I don't think Michael Gallup makes sense to keep either.
Yeah.
Because Gallup isn't going to open up the field, right? Unless Devontae Adams or Jacoby Myers go down. In that instance, Michael Gallup can replace one of those 2 guys, right? If either of those guys go down, Gallup steps up into that receiver role, right? That true wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2. I don't even know what to tell you guys, man. The battle at wide receiver 4 and 5, it's hard, right? Because you got to, for me at least, I think about it in terms of role. Right, everybody's not going to play the same role, right? But you got to have different roles within an offense.
Yeah. So,
who's playing that role where you're opening up the field? Who's playing that role as the true X or the true number 2 wide receiver?
Yeah.
It's hard, man.
It's a great problem to have, though, Sandy, right?
It is. I agree.
we didn't talk about that. We said, realistically, who's taking Hunter's job? Is it Brock? You know what I mean? Is it Trey Tucker?
I think it depends on the concept, right? It depends on what they're trying to do. And that's what I mean. When you talk about Brock Bowers and you say he's going to be a wide receiver, it's not that he's going to be a wide receiver by trade, but he's going to run some of those route concepts that Hunter Renfrow will. Yeah. So he'll be used more in that kind of vein, right? And when you're running 12 personnel, you got 2 tight ends out there and they got to be available. A lot of the times, for it to be effective, you want it to be where both of those guys are going out and eligible and they have prominent routes inside of the concept that you're trying to run, right?
Yeah.
So it all depends for me. It all depends. I think the game is going to dictate who's going to get what, right? You're going to have some games where it's a wide open football game and you might need Trey Tucker to take the top off of defense. There might be the kind of game where you have a terrible secondary and you got Devontae Adams running crazy and Jacoby Myers running underneath stuff and you have Trey Tucker taking the top off the defense and Aiden can let it fly. But then you're going to have those slobber knockers, right? Yeah. Where say, for instance, when it's cold, you're playing against, Kansas City, right? They have a great defense, they have a great secondary, right? Yeah. So what you want to do is you want to have matchup problems. You want to get these big guys one-on-one with some of these defensive backs and these linebackers. That's when the Brock Bowers guys come into play. That's when the Michael Mayers come into play. That's what they do to us all the time with Travis Kelce.
Jacoby as well, a great blocking receiver. I think 12 personnel, we can agree with. You got two wide receivers. It's going to be Jacoby and Devontae, right? It's going to be those 2 guys. You're going to have Brock and you're going to have Michael Mayer out there as your 2 tight ends. It's going to be very, very interesting. LA Crash Dog, we just said it, brother. I'm assuming if Sincere makes the 53-man, he'll be more of a special teams ace this upcoming season. And he said it himself this morning. He's looking to earn his keep through special teams. Man, salute to Crash Dog. Salute to LV. No joint practice for the Raiders this year. Yeah, just seen that. Your thoughts. Better to test the team against another or get our stuff together. What do you guys think about that? I'll hand that over to Sanjit. How do you think about that? Because these past few seasons, Rams, we faced some other teams, in the offseason. How do you feel about that?
Yes. you know, the Cowboys do this every year where they go to, I think, Southern California.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. And then they'll just practice offense versus defense. I'm cool with it. I don't think it really matters, but I do think that you gotta go full speed, right? And I say it doesn't really matter because, you know, if you scrimmage against, let's say, the Rams, right, you're gonna get used to scrimmaging the same guys over the course of the week, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Plus, I think for the Raiders this year, especially, our defensive line is gonna test the shit out of our offensive line, right? So I think for this year specifically, that's a great battle to have. Our receivers are gonna beat the crap out of those corners. That's a great thing, right? You want these guys to get tested in that aspect.
Yeah.
I don't mind it, right? I don't think it's that big of a deal because you still have the preseason games. And I would assume that at this point, our first team offense will actually play preseason this season. Yeah. Right? At least one drive or one half or one
new system. Yes, definitely.
Right? You have to. It's going to be interesting. What do you guys think? You guys think it matters?
I mean, no, I don't. I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs don't do joint practices, right? Okay. So the thing is, it has to line up, I think, logistically, right? And then when you start thinking about what's going on, right? The weather has been crazy, right? And I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but it might, right? You know, they're out in California. They're going to be doing a lot of, you know, camping stuff out there. And they thought they were getting away from the desert and going to Cali. And they're pretty much in the same situation, right? So they have to run their practices, you know, the way that they need to. And then a lot of the times it's like, okay, a lot of that kind of stuff is it really productive, right? Because, you know, you get a lot of fights. Everybody's serving up vanilla. You don't really want them to see what you're really running, right? And we have such a competitive team right now. We have so many guys that are trying to make this roster. You have so many great defensive players, and you have a young offense. I think that iron sharpening iron aspect of this team is what's going to propel us forward. And then also we have our own interest at heart. So you don't have guys getting hurt and things like that. Yeah. I prefer them to keep our business in house, to be honest with you.
I expect a top 5 defense this year. And this offense is going against them already in practice. There's no need to have to go out there and face an opposing team. Like you said, Wasted, that was a great take. Vanilla. Like, why go out there? You're not going to show anything anyways. At least in our practice, you know what you're facing. You know, you're going full straight, but you also have your players and your teammates. You know, you don't want to hurt them. But at the end of the day, this offense going against this defense, that is going to make them that much better, especially with the Christian Wilkins ad, you know, on that defensive line. I just think it's going to make them that much better. Salute to S. Dot. It's really hard to say because Bowers is deceptively fast and faster than everybody except Tucker and Zeus. And this is facts. His game speed is totally different. When you look at it, it's like, oh, okay, he's not the fastest guy in the world. You look at his 40, you're like, he's not the fastest guy, but his game speed is totally different. He's a game breaker. He's a game breaker. So I agree with you in that, S. Dot. I think that this upcoming season, man, I think a lot of people are going to have to eat crow being mad that we took him at 13. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah. I think a lot of people are going to have to eat crow and be like, okay, now I understand why they took the best player available, because he should have been a top 10 pick. In terms of skill set, in terms of talent, he's one of the better guys in this draft. And that says a lot because it was a deep draft at a lot of respected positions.
Although, did you guys see the Rams like their draft thing where they were like their whole draft, they're just waiting for him, like, oh, okay, let's see if this guy takes him or this team takes Brock Bowers. And at some point they really wanted him, right? They even made an offer to the Raiders, right? And they would have taken him, right? And I think they were willing to swap first and then even throw an extra second round pick. But that just shows you how much the Raiders liked him as well.
And McVay would have had him playing like an all-pro in year one.
Oh, fact, 100% facts. Yeah, I mean, look, if Sean McVay wanted him, man, it makes me feel a lot better about the pick, right? Yeah, you get one of the best weapons in this draft.
Yeah. Salute to S. Dot, man. Appreciate you, brother, on the $10 donation. In the end zone, Mike is stronger. DA is twitchier. Kobe got hops and intelligence. Brock speed and breaks tackles. Like Graphk said, great problem to have. Salute to my guys. Salute to Joe as well. Just a heads up. Don't be surprised if our QB struggle in camp against our defense. Definitely. In fact, I hope they do. It'll show our defense is still rock solid, pause, and our quarterbacks will be ready for anything. Salute to Joe. And you heard it early on, you guys, in OTAs that the offense was struggling, even without, and mind you, we talked about this way.
No pads, shells. It's
Colton not out there. Jackson Powers not out there. A lot of guys on the offense, weren't starters, but that's a great problem to have. Salute to Joe. Right. Salute to everybody here in the bill. Let's get to the second segment of the show, you guys. Let's start with our brother Wasted Talent, man. Let's get to these surprise cuts. And we're going to talk about Sanjit's video as well. Put out a great video yesterday about some potential surprise veteran cuts. Let's start with our brother Wasted Talent. We already talked about a few, but is there any other guys that you can expect that we're looking like, man, because there's a ton of depth on this team. There's a ton of talent. There's going to be some guys that we may cut that can be starters on other good teams.
Yeah.
Like real talk.
Well, I got 3 vets. I mean, we've talked about Amir Abdullah. We've talked about Brandon Faison. There's a guy in the linebacker core that I think is on the clock. And there's 2 guys that, and now a lot of people will say, and I heard Sanjit say Divine Diablo. I don't think that that's the case, right? I think Lucas Masterson is the guy that is on the clock because, listen, we drafted Tommy Ackenberg. We already had a guy in the
the thumbs up is agreeing with you.
That's right. Listen, Detroit Buddha is here. Shout out to Detroit Buddha, everybody. Shout out to him, man. We've been missing you, Detroit Buddha.
Yo,
we have been missing you.
That's hilarious. But Luke Masterson?
Luke Masterson. And I like Luke Masterson. He's great on special teams. But if you look at Patrick Graham, right, and you look at a lot of what he's always done and what kind of linebackers that he's kind of gone after. Patrick Graham has always got linebackers that are good in with quickness in short areas, right? You know what I mean? And if you look at some of the guys who have done well in Patrick Graham's system, and as far as from a linebacker perspective, right? You have Denzel Perryman did well under Patrick Graham, Blake Martinez, Reggie Ragland, Raekwon McMillan, guys like that, right? And if you look at a guy like an Amari Burney is very, very quick in short spaces. He's a guy they kept around. They drafted him. They have high hopes for him. So if you're going to keep an Amari Burney, you just drafted Tommy Eichenberg, right? Spill is going to be a starter. And Divine Diablo, he's such a talented freak of nature of an athlete. You kind of got to see what you have. And when he's been on the field, he's been very, very productive. And when you look at Luke Masterson, he's been a guy who's been in and out of this lineup. And I think one of these younger guys might take his roster spot this year.
I have to disagree with you.
I disagree 100% too.
That's the reason why I said it, damn it. And I don't give a damn F. I don't give a F.
Sergi, what's your take on this nonsense that Wasted is spewing into the universe?
So here's the thing with Masterson. So the guy just finished year 2, right? So he's not like, he doesn't have a ton of experience yet. But another thing is he came in when Patrick Graham first came to the Raiders, right? Like Luke Masterson's been here since the time Patrick Graham has been here. Divine Diablo's been here, but Divine Diablo was here before Patrick Graham. And Divine Diablo, from a contract perspective, has basically been locked in with the Raiders, right? We drafted him. So from that aspect, it made sense to keep him around. He was a 3rd-round pick. His ceiling's high, right? It's always been high, but he's never been able to get over the top. Right? It's been 3 years. And Divine Diablo, to me, still struggles with basic things like filling his run fits, making tackles, doing things that you want your linebackers to be able to do, right? Jump gaps and blow things up, right? To me, our linebackers have it super, super easy with the defensive line that's out in front of them. Even last year, our defensive line was legit, right? Even last year, they're legit. And this year, they're even better. And, when I watch Luke Masterson, he does a lot of the little things on tape. He does it well. Right. And I would find it hard to believe that we're going to release this guy. That tweet counts $900,000 against the cap. At the very, very least, he gives you special teams value. But I think he's the guy that's going to end up being our best linebacker. I think going into next year, I think Masterson will be our best linebacker. And I think he's going to break out this season.
What? No.
Now, let me say something real fast, because you already spewed this nonsense into the universe, Wasted.
Why does it got to be effing none? What the F is wrong?
I have to agree with our brother Sanjit. Look, we're already kind of thin at the linebacker position. Mari Burney is a question mark.
Right.
Okay, Darian Butler's coming off the IR. He's undersized. He was a UDFA. We don't know if he's going to make this roster. Luke was a guy that played some special teams, played sparingly at the linebacker position. Also, you guys, Robert Spillane dealt with some injuries last year, fought through them. Divine Diablo to me looks like a converted safety. He looks like a guy that is still trying to figure out the position, even going into year 4, which is his last year on his deal. I love Divine Diablo. I think that we should have kept him as safety, to be honest with you. I don't think this should have been a converted type situation. Bro, if you watch his tape, Wasted, we've talked about this. Most of his tackles, he's chasing guys. Like from behind, you know what I mean? Like he doesn't look like a linebacker out there. And I think that he has the measurables. I think he has the skill set. He could be a sideline. He just hasn't shown us that.
Right.
Luke Masterson, to me, like Sanjay said, he's cheap, he's inexpensive. There's no reason to cut him, especially with the big question. Amari Burney's a 6th-round guy. I know Luke Masterson was a UDFA. I understand that. But if you look at Luke Masterson's tape at Wake Forest, then you look at Amari Burney's at Florida. I'm going to be honest. I'm taking Luke Masterson 10 times out of 10.
But even last year, I felt like Luke Masterson was way better than Burney last year. And I know Luke Masterson was in year 2 and Burney was in year 1. But, I mean, Burney, honestly, if he wasn't our 6th-round pick, I don't think he would have made the team last year. I think they would have released him and maybe put him on the practice squad. I don't know, man. I don't see it with Burney.
If you look at the level of athlete, I'm a big Amari Burney guy. Now,
you are. You always have been.
So when you talk about snap share, if Devon Diablo is so terrible, right? This is a guy that's playing 93% of the snaps on average, right? You know, week 1, 93% of the snaps. Week 2, 93% of the snaps. Week 3, 83% of the snaps, right? Then, you know, I think he got dinged up week 4, 70% of the snaps, 84% of the snaps, 91% of the snaps. He got dinged up week 7, 25% of the snaps. Then he was out, you know, week 8, week 9, came back week 10, 66, 58% of snaps. Then towards the end of the season, 80% of the snaps, 95% of the snaps, 96% of the snaps. So it's like you look at that, and then you look at Luke Masterson's usage rate, right? Week 1, 6.3% of the snaps, 1 solo tackle.
Yeah, but Devon was a starter. Wasted.
Wait. This is my point, though. I'm going through the whole season, right? 6.4% of the snaps, 8.1% of the snaps, 24% of the snaps. Even when Diablo was out, right? 12% of the snaps, 8.3% of the snaps. Week 7, 62% of the snaps, 30% of the snaps. Week 9, 0% of the snaps. Week 10, 15% of the snaps. Week 11, 32% of the snaps. Week 12, 16% of the snaps. Week 14, 0. Week 15, 33%. Week 16, 0% of the snaps. Week 17, 3.6% of the snaps. And week 18, 0% of the snaps.
He's been a rotational piece at this point, though.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying is that it's not like the opportunity for him to seize and carve out a part of that position hasn't been there, because Devon Diablo has been knocked down. He's been hurt. Devon Diablo has been inconsistent, and still, in the Raiders' infinite wisdom, Devon Diablo is the guy that they've been starting.
Hey, real quick, Raider Rebels said Masterson had 3 forced fumbles last year, I believe. Look that up. Can we look that up?
No, I see it.
Okay. I know he had 2. I know for a fact he had at least 2. Maybe he had a third one.
Forced fumbles. He had 2. He didn't have 3.
Okay,
he had 1 pass defense, and he had 2 forced fumbles, and 1 in week 8, and he had 1 in week 11.
What does Devon Diablo have wasted as a starter?
Devon Diablo, 0 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery, 2 passes defense, 64 solo tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 1 sack.
Hold on. Let's be honest here, all right? Let's just be 100% honest. Last year, we had Chandler Jones, Cleveland Farrell, Isaiah Rochelle all take more snaps than Malcolm Koonce.
Yeah.
Right? And you are, at least, and I'm sure some of you guys seen it too. You can see Malcolm Koonce and see that this guy has crazy upside. His ceiling is absolutely crazy.
Yes.
He only played 68 snaps in 2022, which is crazy.
Insane.
But to me, when you watch the snaps, you watched him actually go out there and play, you could tell there was something there. I think with Masterson, there's something there as well, right? And I know Devon Diablo is getting more snaps, but you also got to think about it like this, right? Masterson going into his 2nd season, there's a good chance Patrick Graham thought to himself, hey, I like Luke Masterson. I just don't think he's better than Devon Diablo right now, because Devon Diablo has started for it was 2 whole seasons at that point, right? And then last year was his 3rd season.
Yeah.
To me, Patrick Graham looked at it like, hey, I might get fired at the end of the season unless I get this defense turned around. And Devon Diablo gives me a better chance this season than does a 2nd-year linebacker Luke Masterson. Right? But I don't think Luke Masterson I don't think Devon Diablo is better than Luke Masterson. I think going into this season, I think that's going to change.
I beg to differ. I mean, you got a guy that has he had over 1,000 snaps. He had 14 solo tackles. You guys act like Luke Masterson was, you have games where Devon Diablo has probably almost matched his season output.
This all boils down to wasted being a Amari Burney guy.
Masterson played only 182 snaps.
I'm tripping. I looked at the wrong graphic. My bad, Sanjit.
Talk that shit, Sanjit.
My bad, Sanjit. My bad. My bad. He had 181 total defensive snaps. Right.
Right.
So there was 1,000 defensive snaps, period, for the whole team.
Let me ask you guys this: Do you think somehow, some way, in year one, Tommy Eichenberg can come in there and start?
Yes, I do.
Robert Spillane.
Not for Robert Spillane, but
I'm saying opposite of Robert Spillane, not for him.
Yeah, I do, and that's the reason why I think, if you're looking at this, one of these guys are going to be the guy that's got to go. And I think the guy with more talent is the guy that's going to be in a roster. And I think the guy that has more God-given ability is Devon Diablo. Let's just be for real here. He is the guy with more God-given ability.
Right. I've said it since day one.
By far.
No, definitely. But I've said this, and tell me what you think about this, Sanjit. Like, you have to prioritize a few of these guys that are coming into their, rookie deals are going to be up this year. I think Nate Hobbs, if he can stay healthy, is clear cut. You pay him, right?
Right.
Merrick is a guy that you have to look at and say, man, if he has a big year this year, you may have to bring him back, unless one of these other safeties that we just drafted, Trey Taylor, maybe Palomar takes the next step. Malcolm Koonce needs to get paid. It's clear cut. I mean, he needs to be the guy opposite of Maxx, even with Tyree in the building. I think Devon has always been the guy that's been the guy that's kind of looking from the outside looking in. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to let him go. With Tommy Eichenberg coming in, with Luke Masterson, once again, showing signs of life year in and year out. I think that Devon, yes, you're right, though, Wasted. In terms of measurables and skills, Devon can be that guy.
Production. The guy is listen, he's not a superstar linebacker. Look, we do by no means do the Raiders have Drake Greenlaw and Warner. Yeah. That's not what we have here, right? But we have a very talented defense, and we have a linebacker room that has improved exponentially. They improved exponentially, and Devon Diablo was not the problem last year. We act like Devon Diablo was out there getting cooked and burnt and was missing tackles. But he wasn't.
But a major part of that is the defensive line. Like, you know what I mean? Like
so now we have a better one, so he's going to play even better.
Definitely. And Luke Masterson's going to beat him out.
No, he's
Salute to the chat, y'all. Wipe them feet, man. Hit them thumbs up. If you guys are not subscribed to all three channels, what are you guys waiting on? Salute to everybody here in the building. Once again, welcome to the 12 Personnel Podcast. Thank you guys for pulling up on episode 1. Let's get a few more questions. Usually we're going to keep this around an hour. We don't want to do it too long. We're going to be doing these bi-weekly. So get a few questions in, you guys, before we get out of here. Salute to Two Stock as well. This group will be the next Around the NFL podcast. Salute to you, Two Stock. That means a lot, brother. Appreciate you so much for the kind words. Let me see. Scott Turner will have say in the passing game with Getsy. I believe so. So. I do. He was a guy, man, that didn't get a lot of praise out there with the Commanders off because they didn't really have a lot of great parts out there. Scott Turner, man, I've spoken to a few Commander beat writers behind the scenes, and they were upset that they lost Scott Turner. You know what I mean? And I assumed, I think you guys did too, last year, when Josh was let go, I thought that he was going to take over the offensive side of the ball. I didn't think that Bo Hardigree was at all. You know what I mean? And you watch receiver, it's funny on the sidelines, Devontae was sitting over there with Bo Hardigree damn near every play. And he was like, I'm sorry that I'm always over here with you, Bo. He was trying to help him with his job. You know what I mean? I think if you had Scott Turner doing that, I don't think that would have been the case. You know what I mean? So, but you're right. I think Scott Turner's definitely going to have some say in the passing game with Getsy. But once again, Getsy has been around the NFL. You know what I mean? He's going to need as much help as he can. But I'm saying, I don't think we have to worry too much with him compared to Bo Hardigree. You know what I mean?
I want to ask you guys this real quick. As we're talking about Luke Getsy, I think one of you guys said this earlier on. Is Luke Getsy from the Matt LaFleur tree, or is he from like the Mike McCarthy tree? Like, what is he going to be more? Right? Because people want the Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah,
people want that, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. But he wasn't initially. I think he initially came into the league under Mike McCarthy, and he was with McCarthy for a number of years. And then I think when Matt LaFleur got here, he even fired Luke Getsy. I think maybe like the first year or two, Luke Getsy was not with LaFleur, and then I think like Devontae Adams, Aaron Rodgers, like, hey, we want that guy back. I think that was like the story. I don't know if that's exactly what it was.
I thought he was a LaFleur guy.
No, I don't think so. I think I had looked into the story of Luke Getsy when we first hired him. I forget what school it was.
He was hired in
2014,
right, under Mike McCarthy.
Mm-hmm.
And was promoted to wide receiver coach in 2016. Then in 2017, he was hired as offensive coordinator at Mississippi State.
Yeah.
Then he came back and was rehired by the Green Bay Packers as their quarterback coach under Matt LaFleur.
Yeah.
There was actually one other thing with Getsy too. So before he got the job with Mike McCarthy, I think he was the offensive coordinator with the school, and the head coach there that he was kind of learning.
Western Michigan.
Yeah, the head coach he was over there with had connections to Mike McCarthy as well. So that's how Getsy got that job.
Well, PJ Fleck and Mike McCarthy have ties that go way back. But the thing is, we got to look at it from this perspective, right? He was the quarterback coach under Matt LaFleur. He was promoted to passing game coordinator and quarterbacks coach, right? So for a guy that's as bright as Matt LaFleur to bring this man in and bring him and give him that trusted of a position, you have to kind of give him some grace. I mean, he helped develop Jordan Love. You can't take that off of his resume.
Yeah, no, agreed. But I think that he had more success, right, under LaFleur. He had an opportunity to coach Devontae Adams out there. A-Rod had 2 back-to-back MVP years. But yes, just like Mando said in the chat, he said he learned from both coaches. But he did come into the league with Mike McCarthy. So yes,
it's interesting. It's always interesting to me though. Like, did Devontae Adams, Aaron Rodgers, did they have that success because of Luke Getsy, or did they have that success because of Matt LaFleur? Right.
I would have to lean towards LaFleur.
I agree with that. Right. It's always going to come down to the play caller, the person installing the offense, and I think that's why Luke Getsy failed with the Bears essentially. Right. And again, I'm not saying this to knock Getsy, right? I hope he has success because that ultimately means the Raiders have success.
Yeah.
I was watching, it was Brett Coleman and EJ Snyder. They did this entire thing on their YouTube channel. It's called the Bootleg Football Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And, Brett Coleman, super smart. EJ Snyder, both super, super smart guys. EJ Snyder is actually a Bears fan, right? So like I do content on Cowboys, the Bears. I watch all these teams for the Football Scout channel. Yeah. But I'm a Raider fan, so I'll tell you whatever with the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
EJ Snyder is a Bears fan, and I think Brett Coleman might be a Bears fan as well, or he has some sort of insight where he's watching every single Bears game. But the guy talked a ton of, in a good way, right? He was willing to give it another chance, but he talked a ton of crap about Luke Getsy, and he essentially doesn't think it's going to work, right? And he did say, I hope it does work, but like he broke it down why Luke Getsy failed with the Bears, and I find it interesting because it was kind of the same things that I had seen with Luke Getsy, and I do hope he has fixed those things up because it's also some of what our beat reporters were saying from OTAs, right? Yeah. Which I don't know if it was Vic Tafer or if it was one of the other guys. One of them, they were like, "Hey, our offense is struggling." Specifically, what it looks like, guys aren't getting open. Like routes are being run, but quarterbacks aren't able to get the ball to those guys because maybe the routes are off, right? They're not proper routes that are being run. Right, like for example, you're going to run a high route with the low route, which is going to spread the field a certain way. Maybe you have a short post with the corner or whatever for the spacing, and apparently that stuff's off with Getsy, right? And I think that was the big thing with the Bears, right? You get like 3 guys that run into the same spot, right? And I hope that doesn't happen with the Raiders, obviously, right? But it's going to be interesting to see what ends up happening this season.
This is a great comment right here. And I know you got something on your mind. It will be a mixture of both. We tend to forget that we got Philbin in the building as well. Philbin is the one to bridge them. Philbin was the OC when the Green Bay won a Super Bowl and had a top 10 offense. So that's another guy, Joe Philbin, that's going to be definitely helping them over there on the offensive side of the ball. Salute to Elite for a great comment. Go ahead, Wasted. I know you're ready to cook real quick, bro.
Well, this the thing, man. When we try to give all the flowers to Matt LaFleur is very talented, right?
Definitely.
Realize something. He was hired in 2019, 2020, 2021, and then Devontae Adams was gone, right? Yeah. So a lot of what I see from Chicago is if you don't have a guy who can go out there and decipher what you're trying to put out there on the field to run your offense, and you have a guy that is a 2-read quarterback, when I kind of give Luke Getsy a mulligan. Yeah. When you talk about Justin Fields is supremely talented, but there's a reason why he fell in the draft. It's a reason why he's no longer the starter in Chicago. And and I know, listen, Caleb Williams is generational talent. Most people would have taken Caleb Williams, right? Yeah. But they wouldn't be in position to take Caleb Williams. Well, no, they got that pick from someone else. But I'm just saying, had he played better, there would have been more. Like, it wasn't even a thought. Yeah. It wasn't even a thought. And when you see Justin Fields, I've never at one time seen Justin Fields play well enough to say to myself, Justin Fields is going to be a starter in this league. I think Justin Fields is probably going to be a backup in this league.
Yeah.
Like real rap. And so I don't really blame Luke Getsy so much, because when I look at the way he helped develop Jordan Love, right, I see what his team did against our defense with Tyler Badgett. You know what I mean? This is what I'm watching, right? And then I watch a guy like Justin Fields, who has had many issues with getting down playbooks, reads, dropping back and not looking off the corners and the safeties and stuff like that. So I think that has a lot to do with why guys weren't actually supposedly getting open. But I just think the quarterback was kind of bad, man.
Let me ask you a question. Both of you guys. So both of you guys watched Jimmy G last year, right? Obviously with the Raiders. You guys think that quarterback can win a Super Bowl?
No.
Absolutely not, right? No. Kyle Shanahan got him to the Super Bowl. Shanahan got Jimmy G to take that team into the playoffs multiple times. Yeah. And they scored 30-plus points multiple times. And that wasn't because of Jimmy G. That was because of Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah.
Right? Jimmy G is trash. We saw that. We saw he is absolutely trash.
Yeah, but is Jimmy G the guy who was under center for the Super Bowl 49ers? Is he the same player that he was when he got to us is the question, because I think that Jimmy Garoppolo a few years ago was a much more capable player than he was when he got to us. This is a guy who probably shouldn't be on the NFL roster. His limitations.
I'm going to tell you guys right now. So Jimmy G's now with the Rams, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So if Matt Stafford goes down, we'll see, man, if Jimmy G still has it or not. And then we'll see, because then that just tells us Josh McDaniels sucked as an offensive coach, right? That's essentially what that would
but
right?
Sanjit, let me ask you this. Why did they not win the Super Bowl? Was it because of Jimmy G or was it because of Shanahan?
I mean, I don't think so. It's interesting because 49ers fans are I think there's something wrong with them, man. They legitimately think, yes! They legitimately think they're going to be better off if Kyle Shanahan was not with them, right? They think, oh, Kyle Shanahan can't win the Super Bowl. He's been to 3 Super Bowls in the last 10 years. He can't win them. Yeah. In the last 10 years, Kyle Shanahan's been to 3 Super Bowls. Think about that. How many other coaches take the Super Bowl? Also, if you're going to say he can't win the big game, I mean, what is a playoff game not a big game? Is the championship game, the divisional round, are those games not big games? Yeah. Right? Those are all big games, right? It's hard winning a Super Bowl. Chances are in the next 10 years, Kyle Shanahan will go to another 3 Super Bowls and he'll win one, right? Chances are that's what's going to happen. And I think it comes down to, if you have Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback, you'll win the Super Bowl. If you have Kyle Shanahan as your offensive coordinator, right, or play caller, however you want to say it, it's the same thing with Andy Reid, right? The guy did not have success until Patrick Mahomes got there, right? And I think there's a lot of coaches like that, right? Like Mike McDaniel's not going to win until he gets a legit quarterback. Sean McVay won because he had a legit quarterback in Matthew Stafford. He didn't have that with Jared Goff, right? And it'll be the same thing with Ben Johnson. Jared Goff's not going to win him a Super Bowl, right? But Ben Johnson's going to go and get a job as a head coach somewhere. And when he becomes a head coach, if he doesn't have a legit quarterback, he's not going to win until he gets that quarterback as well. Now, he might take, whoever it is, Jimmy G or whoever, he might take him into the playoffs the way he's taken Jared Goff into the playoffs, but he's not going to win it with those type of quarterbacks. Right, you'd be lucky to win it with average like Jared Goff, Jimmy G. Not saying they can't, with these legit play callers, but it's hard, man. You got to have a great quarterback and a great play caller.
Yeah, but see, the thing with Jimmy G, I think that's a little short-sighted because this is a guy who, almost didn't get the contract because he was physically limited, and they had to have a trap during the contract because they didn't think initially before he even took one snap that he could play. I think they were kind of backed into a corner with Jimmy Garoppolo. They thought Brady was going to come out of retirement. They did, right? And there wasn't like they went into this whole getting rid of Carr thing and they were like, we're gonna rock out with Jimmy G. I don't believe that at all. It was just an ends to a mean, right? And when you talk about Kyle Shanahan, you say, he's going to win a Super Bowl. He might not, Sanjit. When I've seen throughout my years of watching this game, when I see guys that lose the Super Bowl, right? Time after time after time, they don't normally come back and win it. We could look at guys like Marv Levy, who was in 4 Super Bowls. He never won it. There's just certain coaches where, it
took Andy Reid a little minute to get there and get right. But like you said,
Andy Reid only went to 1 Super Bowl and lost that 1 Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Right. And when Andy Reid got that quarterback that he felt, and Andy Reid really to be real with you, should have won the one against New England if Donovan McNabb wasn't hung over into the second half. Like, let's just be for real. Donovan McNabb was hanging out drinking the night before the Super Bowl and threw up in the damn huddle, and they started coming back and they lost the Super Bowl by 1 point. So that wasn't because of Andy Reid, but there are guys like Dan Reeves and people like that have lost multiple Super Bowls and never won it.
Real quick, you guys, look, on the way out, salute to everybody here, almost on an hour and a half. I want to ask you guys real quick. Bleacher Report dropped an article that pretty much had 3 players who need impressive camps to avoid being cut, okay? They put Amir Abdullah. I think we can all agree that he's one of those guys. We talked about him previously. They mentioned Cornell Armstrong. I don't even think this guy makes the roster. I'm going to be real with you. But I don't know why people keep putting DJ Turner in the conversation. This is a guy that was almost a Pro Bowler last year as a special teams ace. What is your take, Sanjay? Because I know me and Wasted have talked about this a million times. There's no way we cut DJ Turner, man. Like, this is a guy that's giving you a lot of reps, and a lot of the success on the special team side of things was because of DJ Turner, right?
Yeah, I mean that's a legit point. I think he had did he have a touchdown last year? It may have been called back, or am I tripping? Maybe that was Hunter. Right?
I don't think so. But there may have been a situation where maybe he was close to it, but a lot of times he was in on the play. Like there was a fumble recovery. I think he had a few of them actually on special teams. I could be wrong, but he had a great year. He had a phenomenal year.
It's interesting because I was thinking about this the other day when I was looking at guys to potentially cut. I said we might cut Michael Gallup, and the reason why I came to Gallup over DJ Turner was because Turner does provide special teams value, right? Kick return and punt return. Another thing with kick return is now you're going to get 2 guys to stand back there.
Yeah.
You might not just have 1. You might have 2 back there. So that's another thing to keep in mind. And then on top of that, I know DJ Turner is not going to play a lot on the offensive side, but we only have 1 Trey Tucker. We only have 1 guy that can run down the middle of the field and force the safeties to have to stay over the top, right? Because Jacoby Myers isn't fast enough to do that.
What about Guyton? I mean, do you think he's going to see the field?
Maybe. I think Jalen Guyton's the one guy that could maybe do that, right? But I would think DJ Turner could be that guy for us as well, right?
Yeah. I've said that a lot of people question his speed, but I'm like, he's one of those guys. If you watch him at Pitt, another UDFA, he was a dynamic guy.
Yeah, no, he can definitely add that speed element. That's one of the only 2 guys that
Tulu Griffin as well. Remember, we talked the UDFA, I believe, out of Mississippi State. That's another guy that can actually provide some special teams help with us and add some speed element to the wide receiver room as well.
What about Labe? You guys think he can return punts or kicks?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. I hope that he doesn't have to. I hope he's such an integral part to the offense that he doesn't have to. I just really like getting to Sanjay's point and your point. When you have guys that are like Swiss Army knives that can serve and play and fill more than 1 role on the team, that makes you more valuable. And with a guy like a Michael Gallup is going to have to go out there and in a real way really carve out almost damn near a starting role, almost. Not a starting role, but like a solid backup role. He's going to have to really go out there and produce. He's an injury-prone guy who's been in this league for a few years, and it's really not going to cost them much to jettison him. Yeah. This happens on every roster in the league. You don't cut young talent for old talent that was better 5 years ago.
Yeah,
and that's the way I.
This question is: Dylan Labe going to be the next Austin Eckler, or is he going to be the next Amir Abdullah? Like,
we're hoping Austin Eckler.
But like, are we sure that he's going to hit that?
Have you watched some of his tape yet?
No, not really.
Go back and watch the Central Michigan.
I've watched highlights, but not
Central Michigan game was the game that he just took the nation by storm. I think he had like over 300 all-purpose yards. He even did more damage in the passing game. Like, it was absolutely insane. This dude is
the game where he had like over 290 receiving yards or something.
Yeah, that was the game. And then he had, I believe, somewhere along the lines of like 80 rushing yards or somewhere around there. We talked about that game, but he was all over the place. And mind you, that O-line that they had was really bad out there in New Hampshire. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's New Hampshire. I mean, but he was playing against some monsters, and he went out there and performed. Man, Dylan could be one of the ones, bro.
Yeah, and it's his skill set, Sanjay, and that's really what I think keeps him on the roster and makes him a guy that's a significant addition to this offense, because he's not just a running back. Austin Eckler could catch the football, but it wasn't like you were going to line Austin Eckler up out in the slot and run him out like a wide receiver. This guy has that kind of skill set. He has a very unique skill set. There's very few people in the National Football League who can play that receiver role from the running back position the way he can.
But the one thing I got to say about Dylan that's opposite of Austin Eckler, something just went viral a few days ago or a few weeks ago about Austin Eckler crying about being the workhorse with the Chargers. He was like, that's not my game. Dylan's not going to cry about getting reps. He's going to go out there with whatever y'all need me to do. If you need me to run the football 90 times a game, I'm going to do it. If Zeus goes down and y'all need somebody to come in and do some bully work, he's the one that's going to say, give me the football. He's not going to do what Austin Eckler, that's not my game. You know, woo. Dylan is ready to do whatever it takes to get it done. You know what I mean? So I think that's the difference is the mindset. And mind you, Austin Eckler's a little more up in age, so he doesn't want to run the football 30, 40 times a game, right? That's not what he wants to do. But I just think fresh legs, Dylan is ready to go. He's ready to go. And I don't think in any world he's not going to make this roster. I don't. I've seen a few people. I don't know. Man, look, I don't know how the hell you can even say that.
What are the chances that we end up, because we have too many weapons. Straight up, we have too many weapons, right? And I almost feel like, you know, if you're playing at a certain position, like running back especially, you know, only having 4 or 5 touches as a running back, you're not gonna be able to get that feel.
Yeah.
Right. Is there a chance we trade a guy like Jacoby Myers or like, you know, someone else that has value on this team? Like Amir Abdullah, I would say has value. Now you're not gonna get a top 4 or 5 round. He might trade him for like a 7th round pick or whatever, right? But are there guys that the Raiders are going to trade because we have too many weapons?
You can't afford to get rid of Jacoby. I think that he is really. I mean, we know Devontae is the best receiver in the game, and he's our number one weapon. Right. Jacoby does everything that other receivers do not want to do. He can run. Go ahead.
No, so it's interesting. So earlier we were talking about it, and you said when we come out in the 12 personnel, it's going to be Devontae and Jacoby with the 2 tight ends and the running back. I don't know if Trey Tucker's not going to be out there in the 12 personnel.
Okay.
Right? Because I know there were plays last year. I think it was the Giants game where Tucker was lined up. I think we're in the 12 personnel. Tucker was on the right, Adams on the left, and Tucker ran deep, and he beat that corner. And he caught a massive.
Is that the dive? The dive? Was that the dive?
Yeah, and against the Giants, when we were down the shore.
Yeah.
Right. I wouldn't be surprised if Trey Tucker ends up playing more out there, right? I know Jacoby Myers might be. I mean, I don't know if I want to say if he's are we 100% sure Jacoby Myers is gonna be better this year than Trey Tucker? Are we 100% sure with that?
No.
I mean, it's gonna be interesting, man. We have so many weapons, and I don't even know how you're gonna get all these guys involved and get them the usage too, right? Like I'm sure Jacoby Myers wants 1,000 yards. Has he had 1,000? I don't think
never. He's never had 1,000, but he's one of these crafty kind of guys where you can line him up at any. He could play the Y, he can play the X, he could play the slot, and I think that's the thing. It's about having a specific skill set for you can be versatile, right?
Right.
I don't know if Tucker at this point in his career has that skill set. We might see it, but as I'm looking at things right now, right, he's more of a 9 route kind of guy.
Straight up.
He's a 9 route kind of guy. You're not going to see him run 1s and 2s and stuff like that. I mean, every receiver has to, of course, but I'm saying predominantly when he's out there to take the top off of the defense. So Jacoby Myers is an integral part of this offense. And also having a young pedestrian quarterback that's going to throw underneath. He's going to throw the safe route. Yeah. Jacoby Myers is a guy who knows how to get open in the middle of the field.
It's going to be interesting because a lot of Devontae's success when Luke Getsy was out there helping that in Green Bay, he was in the slot. So like there's gonna be so much different. Jacoby got most of his bread and butter in New England playing in the slot. So it's gonna be interesting. But you might be onto something with that 12 personnel. Like, what would you rather see out there? Would it be Trey Tucker and Devontae? Because technically, I don't want to say Jacoby. I mean, I don't want to say that Jacoby's not a better player than Trey Tucker right now.
Right.
But the speed element, you're missing that with Devontae at this point in his career. We already know the release. We know the route running ability. We know what Devontae can do. Right. But where's the speed element? You're right. Jacoby's not the fastest guy.
The situation dictates the personnel. The situation dictates the personnel. Like, they saw something that they could exploit versus the Giants. Tucker was out there. He did his job. But I don't necessarily think until probably the end of the season, when you talk about who's going to get the lion's share of the snaps, it's going to be Jacoby Myers. I mean, or none.
I agree. But with Trey and him and Aiden having that rapport now, they've been working all off season together. Trey looks like he's ready to take that next step. Like I said before, every player that we've had on has said Trey Tucker. When we say who's been performing OTs in that small sample size, everybody said that Trey has gotten faster. He's put on more muscle. So I don't know how you're going to be able to keep him off the football field with how much you know, he's a dynamic player, man. And you don't want to have that off the field.
But, you know, it's funny. You know, people say about us, you know, we have too many weapons, right? But I see teams like the 49ers where you have Kittle, Samuels, Christian, McCaffrey, all these guys, Brandon Ayuk, and somehow, some way, these guys are able to get the football.
But they have a Shanahan.
Yeah, and this is the thing, right? They have a Shanahan, but I think Luke Getsy, right, coming from, you know, the tree that he came from, right, and seeing some of the things that LaFleur has done, I think somewhere inside of him, he has that. I just think he has to have a quarterback that can go out there and execute the game plan.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, and I had to say this too last year about Justin Fields. There are too many coaches. Now there's some bad coaching in the National Football League. Don't get me wrong, but I'm going to tell you something, man. There's a lot of bad play going on out there. And when are these players going to be held accountable for not executing?
Yeah, no facts.
A lot of times, man, especially under center. That's why quarterbacks get paid the way they do. You have a lot of quarterbacks who do not execute, and people get fired behind that concept.
And I have to say this, you guys. DJ Moore had 1,300 yards under Luke Getsy last year, okay? Devontae's going to get his issue. They're going to force the ball to Devontae a lot this year. Trust and believe. They hear all the noise. Devontae's going to get a lot of work at receiver. But I can see Trey Tucker playing that Darnell Mooney role, Sanjit, you know, like this upcoming season, getting a ton of reps, the speed element. And one thing about Trey is he doesn't have the hand problems like Darnell. Darnell's dropped a lot of footballs. Right. But also Trey needs to get that college football out of his head, because a lot of times the 1 foot, he's having issues coming down with the ball with both feet in bounds. You know what I mean? Hopefully he's figured that out this offseason. But I think, look, that's a great problem to have. Getsy has a shit ton of talent, and I think that he has all the talent that fit exactly what he's trying to do. That's all that matters. This is going to be a telling year for Luke Getsy. I don't care if it's year 1. Doesn't matter. He has all the talent. You want to run 12 personnel? Well, guess what? You have Michael Mayer, a second-round guy. Brock Bowers, a first-round guy. You have exactly what you need at the tight end position. You have Devontae, who was your DJ Moore last year, who was a first ballot Hall of Famers at some point down the line. You have Jacoby, a guy that does all the dirty work. You know what I mean? And then you have a Trey Tucker as your, like I said, he has everything.
And Sanjit said it perfectly when we did our pod. He said, listen, if Luke Getsy don't get it together this year, Antonio Pierce needs to fire him.
Yep, and you may never get
there's no reason why he can't pull us together year 1. Sanjit was 100% right about that.
Yeah,
and
if you
go ahead. What are the chances? So, like, you know, AP got the job, obviously, right? How much of this year, you know, how much of AP success is riding on Luke Getsy? It's pretty much all of it, right?
A lot of it.
So, you know, if the Raiders struggle on offense, do you guys see a scenario in which the Raiders move off of AP and Getsy this year, or do you guys think AP has, you know, like a 3-year window?
AP no. And it's so weird. We still don't even know what his contract looks like. Nobody knows what this deal looks like, how many years. AP's not going anywhere. I think that this defense is going to be a top 5 defense, and that's going to be their bread and butter. Go exhaust these offenses. Like, just go beat them with the defense. But Getsy is on notice, definitely. If he doesn't do his job this year, he may end up resorting back to being some type of
positional coach or something like that, because at the end of the day, we all know that Luke Getsy wasn't their first choice or their second choice or their third choice.
Yep. Cliff Kingsbury. Yep.
This is what we know. That's factual. This is not conjecture. This is straight fact.
Yep.
They tried to hire Cliff Kingsbury, and then there was a few other people that
Clint as well.
And they kicked the tires on others. So this is what we know. If he doesn't get it done this year and this year only, he will not be here.
Yeah, facts. Let me get these supers in, y'all, before we get out of here. Salute to 11, my guy. What about last season? Did you not like about Jacoby Myers' game? I love everything about Jacoby Myers. Look, at wide receiver too. The thing is, he's never really been that guy that can give you 1,000 yards. He's never had it. I think the most he's had is somewhere along the lines of somewhere between 800 and 900 yards. He can give you some tutties, though. I'll tell you that. He's also a major weapon for us in red zone situations. He can go up and get it. 50-50 ball guy. That you wouldn't think that, but you look at his game, he does it all. This is not us shitting on Jacoby Myers 11. We love what he does, but we're just talking about if Trey Tucker takes that next step, right?
Another thing to keep in mind is Wasted said, you know, the 49ers have these playmakers as well, right? But the 49ers have 2 receivers, a great tight end, a great running back. That makes sense. That's your package out there.
Yeah.
We have 2 tight ends. We have 3 or 4 wide receivers. We have 2 or 3 running backs. Like, we don't know who's going to be the guy, right? Yeah. We don't know that, right? Like, what if Zamir White's not good, right? The 49ers have Christian McCaffrey. Well, what if we don't have that running back, right? Well, then we have a problem of, we got 3 or 4 wide receivers. Like, which one's going to step up and which one's going to play? Because they're not going to come out there with 4 wide receivers.
Yeah.
Right. You need 2 receivers, a tight end, a running back, and then you can rotate with the 3rd receiver, a fullback, or whatever,
Salute to Rudy the vet, man. I appreciate you on a $10 donation. You stupid, bro. So salute to Graphk Wasted. I agree with them 90% of the time. And salute to Sanjit. I never agree with them, but I do respect them. Yo, man, salute to Rudy, bro. We love you, bro. But Sanjit is one of them ones. There's a reason that we're all 3 doing this together, because we trust the knowledge that Sanjit brings to the table. He's one of the best in the game. You know what I mean? And we don't always have to agree on each other's takes. It is what it is. You know what I mean? But that's why we're here. Right. You know what I mean? To have some fun and do what we do. Go ahead, Wesley.
See, real quick, one shout out to our brother Ray. Ray, the tape is in the place, man.
Oh shit, where's Ray at?
Ray is in the place, man. I think he in Sanjit chat. Shout out to Ray, man. Ray, where you been, bro? Shout out to Ray.
My dog. We gotta bring you back, man. Yeah, salute to our Sacramento brother right there. Hope y'all doing well. You too. We were just talking about you, Ray.
Yeah. Yeah. And yo, another thing. See, Sanjit, you hit the nail on the head. See, the thing is that we have the kind of offense and the players where somebody's going to come out and they're going to establish themselves as those roles, right? Devontae Adams is already there, right? Michael Mayers is there. Now, Brock Bowers and Michael Mayers is weird because it might look a little different, right? So, Brock Bowers, I'm looking at like maybe our Deebo Samuels, because Deebo Samuel, they call him a wide back. He's almost like a running back slash. So he's that hybrid kind of player, right? So now we have to fill in who's the Brandon Ayuk here. Is it Jacoby Myers, right? Who's our Christian McCaffrey? Do we have a poor man's Christian McCaffrey in Law Bay? Or do we have, the guy that's going to be the hammer? You know what I mean?
I'm the brakes on this, Wasted. I'm gonna say this: Christian McCaffrey was an All-Pro before he went to the Niners.
No, I know that, bro. I'm not trying to put that on.
We have a lot of unproven talent that we expect a lot out of, right?
Like what I'm saying is that he could be the poor man's version of that. And then the San Francisco 49ers were able to run the football pre-Christian McCaffrey, right? So the thing is that when you have a guy like a Zamir White, right? Maybe it could be the kind of the version of the Niners before Christian McCaffrey. Okay. The thing is this, man. We have enough talent to fill in those constructs. So when you have a lot of players that demand the ball, I don't think that's a problem. That's a good problem to have for the Raiders. They have to figure out how to make that all work.
And it all boils down to, it does boil down to Getsy. You can always say it boils down to the quarterback play, but this run game, it boils down to that. Zeus needs to show and prove this year, because if Zeus is not, like you said, Alex Madison has not been proven to be a great running back one by any means. Dylan Laube is an unproven commodity at this point. You don't want to have him be the workhorse out there. And then Amir is at the tail end of his career. So the run game a lot of this lies on Zeus. And I'm gonna tell you right now, watching his workout videos, he's taking this offseason very serious. He understands that he's gonna have to at some point put this offense on his back, and he's gonna have to do it. And there's a lot of trust in Zeus this upcoming year. Wasted, and it's nerve-wracking, right?
That joker, that's a big neck bone, beans and rice eating joker right there, man. That joker is ready, man. If anybody's been ready to put something on his back or show anything, it's that joker, man.
Salute to the Mokes, man. How much will AP's hand be in the offense? Period. I think that he's going to hand the reins to Luke Getsy. I think that Joe Philbin's going to be the Marvin Lewis of the offensive side of the ball, right? I think that's what's going to be. Luke Getsy, James Craig, Scott Turner and Joe Philbin are going to be able to take the reins of the O. That's y'all. And I think that AP, Marvin Lewis, Patrick Graham, and those guys are going to say, we got the defensive side of the ball. We know this is AP's team, but I think that he understands I got some guys that have done it at the biggest level of them all. They're gonna let those guys do the thing on the offensive side of the ball.
Right.
Salute to Hug, man. This offense, if done correctly, will be every defense. We'll keep every defense honest. You can't afford nor have the personnel to double team every weapon. Phenomenal comment from Hug D's. This is facts. If we can put it all together, we have all the moving parts to make this thing move. Salute to Hug. Salute to Jason as well. Hope you guys all have a great day, fellas. Oh my God, 3 GOATs together. Raiders. Salute to my guy, one of the Mile Fathers himself, Jason Hunter. Salute to Spidey. Raiders history is give a chance, hoping on Getsy. And we're all hoping that Getsy can get it done, because I think we can all agree this wasn't even my top 3 option at coordinator. I did not want Luke Getsy on this team. But Devontae had a major part in why he is in the building, and we got to trust that one of the best wide receivers in the game knows what he's talking about, right? I think Devontae knows, especially after last year, having a down year, I think 1,100 yards receiving, he wants more than that. And I think that having got a guy like Getsy's going to lean on Devontae a lot, and I think that Tay trusts him. You know what I mean? So we shall see, man. Salute to Spivey on a $2 donation. You guys want to say anything on the way out, man?
No, not at all. Hey, yo, this has been a phenomenal show. The great and powerful Sanjit in the place to be, man. We got to give you an applause, Sanjit.
Man, I appreciate you guys, bro. Like more than you guys realize. We've been talking for a while now. To potentially get a show together where we're able to do it. I know last year we tried doing this as well.
Yeah.
Last year was kind of hard for me. I was in this whole process of moving potentially, and this year, I've moved. My work's a lot less this year too. So
yeah,
I'm excited for this, bro. Like for real. We gotta make sure we have the exact time and day and everything down.
Yeah,
and just keep it set going forward. Every Monday or Friday, whatever we decide.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm down to do it every week or bi-weekly. It doesn't matter. Whatever you guys want to do, I'm down to do it, especially Mondays, because we'll have the game talk from Sunday, and then we can talk a little bit going into the following game, coming up. And Sanjay, I have to say this too real quick, man. The quality is upgraded crazy, bro. You see it. We love it. You know what I mean? We've been watching the videos, and I'm like, Sanjit said, you know what? I'm about to step it all the way. The content's always there.
You know what's crazy, man, is there's this agency that because I have friends that cover like the Chiefs. I have a guy that covers the Eagles, and I realized that all these guys have the same format in their videos. And then I also realized they're all signed to the same agency. And when you go to that agency's website, they tell you like, hey, we'll get you a cinema camera, we'll get you this platform that we use to edit, and this is the flow. And I just give it out for free of what it is that they're doing, and I just applied that to my videos. And I actually noticed that it does make the quality of the video better.
Yes.
It takes a lot longer to make, like 3-4 hours making a video, as opposed to in the past, it's been like an hour max getting a video out.
But you know what? That's what makes you one of the greats is understanding, let's level up every season, right?
Right.
When you just get stagnant and you're like, oh, it is what it is. I'm doing my thing. And so it shows why you're one of the GOATs in this. Every year we want to all take it up a notch. And there's a reason why we're all three here now. It's perfect timing, right? Everything happens, at the right time. And right now it's a blessing to be able to do this, you guys. We will be doing this a lot, y'all, during the season, the 12 Personnel podcast. Yep. Make sure you guys stay in tune. If you guys are not subscribed to all three channels, what are y'all waiting on? Go over to Sanjit's channel, hit that subscribe button, go to Wasted Talent. Let's run him up to 15,000. If we can't get Wasted to 15K ASAP, it's a problem, man, because it's one of the brightest minds. Yeah. Bro,
I don't even know, man. I really haven't even been focused on it. But you know what? This season, this is the first season where I care about getting my subscribers up.
Absolutely.
I need to unceremoniously unblock a lot of people because I think I have thousands of people. Now later, I know.
Hey, we're going to do this in front of the chat right now. What do y'all want to do? You want to do it weekly or bi-weekly? How do y'all want to do it?
I think we should start weekly. All right, one time a week for now, and then as the season begins, we can redo it.
Yeah, see how much we can keep up with it. Because
what I meant was every 2 weeks or once a week.
You're saying bi-weekly, isn't that twice a week?
No, bi-weekly is every other week.
No, every other week.
Okay. I
think every other week.
Bi-monthly, bi-weekly. I'm down with weekly, man. I think week. If you guys have the time, I'm down with that.
Let's do it. Look, every Monday we'll come up with a solid time. And salute to Spivey. We got you, brother. Every
Monday, we got to talk about it. Monday might not be the best for me. It might not be the best for me. You know how it is with me with work and stuff like that. I might not be able to do it.
And here comes this guy, man. Just always, it's always wasted that derail shit.
Why do I gotta derail everything? Because you up here just be like, oh, we gonna do it Monday, like I don't have a life. You know what I'm saying?
No, let's hit the group chat. We'll figure it out. But next week, let's do another one because we know training camp's coming around. We'll have a lot more to talk about. And guess what, you guys? What we're gonna do is this. We're gonna bring some players on as well. We're gonna bring some players on the 12 personnel. We're gonna bring some beat writers on. You know what I mean? And we're going to have some fun with this, add some more, flavor to the show. So I hope and pray that you guys rock with us on this journey every week. So we'll come up with it. We'll figure it out behind the scenes and we'll figure out but every week we're going to do this. Okay. So there you have it. But other than that, you guys, once again, salute to everybody here in the building. We appreciate every single one of you guys, whether you're watching on Sanjit's channel, Wasted channel, my channel. Thank you guys so much. Welcome to the 12 Personnel Podcast. We will be doing this a lot. Salute to you guys, and we are out. One.